What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to give you guys a little bit of my impressions of Atomic Heart after I've played this game for around 6 hours. This is not a full review, but I do want to throw this together. People have been asking me, they're waiting on me to see, about the game, and I greatly, appreciate that. So I do want to talk about it with my time in it so far, but just know, I didn't beat it. Things can go better, things can go worse, all that jazz. And so where I land on it is actually kind of what the title suggests. It's fine. This is a fine game. It's got moments of being extremely good. There are times, and even as the game continues to progress, and this is what I would imagine is going to continue to get better of the game, I do enjoy the combat in closed environments more and more. It's very frustrating, at least for me it was, in the beginning, and we'll talk about that. But I think when this game is firing, like when it's doing it well, it does it pretty darn well. I think it's above average in those regards. When it's not doing it well, it's very frustrating. And I will say, honestly, if I'm judging it based off the full 6 hours, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm having too much fun. I really wouldn't. I'm going through it. I intend to beat it, but I'm very glad that this is a Game Pass game. And that maybe sounds harsh, but I do think that's important when judging it, considering, well, if you're buying it, I believe it's $70. I think it's a full price game. If you're spending the full money on it, is it worth it? Versus if you're getting it on Game Pass and, you pay the monthly, subscription, or you already had it years ago, right? And then you get it for free. Is it worth it there? Well, I think on that side, it's 100% worth it. I do. I think this game is different enough. I think it's got its own unique kind of taste to it. I think if you're getting this game for free, if you're just picking it up on Game Pass, you want a game to play for 3, 4, 5 days, I think this is a perfect kind of game for that. I really, truly believe that. If you're buying it, I would hold off. And I'll say that in the beginning, just in case people are, wondering again what I feel of it. So let's go a little bit deeper. Let's try to talk about some of the strengths and weaknesses. So one of, I would say, the strengths is the world. And I had seen, and I'm sure I'm going to probably bring this up in this video quite often, I saw a lot of reviews for this game, right? Before the game came out, I read a lot of reviews, I watched a lot of reviews. I do actually have some problems with it. My issues with the protagonist or with this or that, some of it's similar to what was said in those early reviews. Some of it isn't. And so the environment's actually one where I think I would tend to disagree with people. I had seen people say, well, the larger area is kind of realized and it's its own world, but then some of the individual locations aren't so good. I think they're fine. I think, yes, the open world, or when you're in the beginning of the game and it's the parade, it's incredible. It's very BioShock. I mean, I think they ripped BioShock right off, but that's, hey, you can do that, and they did it their own way, and I think they did a really, really good job. And anytime you're out in the open world, but here's where I would also add on. I would say when you're in the individual locations in this game and you're doing the missions, right? You got many, many objectives to do, and that's maybe a game weakness, but I really think those areas are realized. You're swapping locations. In fact, the character will even kind of talk about the location that they're in. So I do like it. I think it's personalized enough. I think there's the set pieces that kind of get you from one place to the next. I like it. I don't think it necessarily has, you see like Identity Crisis. I do think it's a game that doesn't nail everything it's trying to do. But I think in terms of the visuals of what they're trying to convey with the world, I think they do so far a good enough job. In terms of the character themselves, let's talk about him because I actually have kind of back and forth thoughts. So again, leading in, we were told a lot that he just hates everybody, right? He's a very obnoxiously kind of grumpy guy, all those kind of things. He is, okay? One thing I would say, he has the hand, right, his glove, and it's Charles, so you'll hear them kind of talk back and forth. There's some times where he's just mean for literally no reason. Charles didn't say anything that would trigger him, nothing, absolutely nothing, and he'll just be mean. So I think as a general character flaw, he does have the issue where they just made him always upset or mad about something. That is a negative. I will say the way that they establish his character very early on, and then when everything starts to kind of fall apart, I do understand him kind of being over everything. So there were some scenes that were floating around in reviews of him talking to the train conductor robot, and he immediately kind of swears at the robot and says are you kidding me? And he says that often, right, where he just can't believe robots are saying certain things to him, which honestly I kind of get. So I would disagree with other reviews that I'd seen in that situation. I think it makes sense. I think this guy is at his wit's end, and he literally just wants to get to the next place, and he keeps having barriers. I will say this game is actually a little meta. because when they give you quests, the character will kind of respond in whether they'll finish the sentences, right? Like, oh, I have to find this, this, this. And they'll be like, how'd you know that? And he'll say, it's just a hunch. I like that. Now, I do think it's kind of annoying that you still have to, this game is a lot of objective based. This game is like a rule of 3. You always are doing 3 things to kind of come back to the main objective. Always, every single time. So it does get repetitive. It does stretch on these missions that I don't think need to be stretched. But I do, I guess, appreciate that I feel like they're aware of it. At least the writing team was aware of it because they'll kind of mention it. One thing I definitely will agree with people, and I don't consider this a spoiler, impressions video, and I don't think I'm going to spoil anything here. Also, again, I don't even think I'm halfway through the game right now. This character is one of the dumbest characters you'll find. I truly, truly believe that. We had heard that, again, in those early reviews, and I agree. Things are happening, and you immediately realize what's going on, okay? You'll see cutscenes. The game will literally tell you directly to your face what's happening. And so we'll know what's really going on. And this main character is just oblivious. I think that's probably the word. He just kind of blocks everything out. And then actually where I'm at kind of right now, a little bit after it, but I just recently did it, you're literally told straight out from your glove, Charles, he just walks you through, what's actually going on, okay? 5-6 hours into the game, we, the player, knew this at like hour 2, and then but you're like, well, the main character, for whatever reason, just doesn't understand what's going on, and then the glove literally is like testing him, quizzing him, and kind of walking him through the logic, literally walking him through the logic of what's going on in the world. And the guy's like, wait, are you serious? And it's like, well, yeah. I mean, we knew that. You knew that because you watched this video or you were told it from this character. Like, it's very obvious to see these things. You may say, well, Alex, that's a nitpick. I really don't think so, because here's the thing. You're stuck with these characters. You're always hearing him talk. And again, his brashness doesn't get to me all that much. It doesn't get to me as much as, other reviewers did. But the stupidity, that definitely gets to me, because it's like, come on, just like catch up. And that's something you got to be aware of when you make movies, television, games. When you have a situation like this, it's really unacceptable for the game character to figure it out like 3, 4, 5 hours after the player figures it out. And it's not even like, well, we saw it from the villain's perspective. No, we saw the same thing the main character saw. So he should be caught up, same as us. In terms of everything else, well, what is left? Well, the combat, the exploration, the open world. So let's talk about that. I don't mind it. And again, as things are going on, like as things are progressing, I will say I'm enjoying the combat more. Maybe it's because of upgrading weapons, right? It's very important to make sure you're upgrading yourself, make sure you're getting new weapons, make sure you're keeping well stocked on ammo, all that stuff. As you keep going, as you get used to it. The dodge, I saw people compare it to like Callisto Protocol in terms of like this is just a bad combat system. I don't hate it. It does get frustrating for sure at times. I do think the more I play it and the more powerful my weapons are, the easier it is, and I don't get as frustrated. I do think it's a somewhat smart, thing in all in terms of the hand-to-hand, so I don't mind it. And I do think, and this is very important, this is like the final, section of this video, in these closed environments, in the main missions, let's say, of this game, I think the game is actually very rock solid. That's that part I was talking about in the beginning where it's above average. When you're condensed, when you're in hallways or, different rooms and you're being told, do this, do that, you see enemies, there's not too many of them, you take them out. This game is pretty okay. It really is. And I don't think necessarily it's worth full price for those scenes, but the issue is on the other side of things, this game really falls apart when it tries to take you the open world. I did see this a lot in the early reviews as well, and I do have to agree. This game, it's broken up kind of into zones. There's bunkers you can go in, kind of side quests, side things you can do. Expands the game, extends the length of the game. I haven't done any of them yet, and to be honest, I really don't want to. And that, at this point in my life, at least, this point of all these games coming out, I got to go with what I feel, right? If I'm not feeling it, I'm just not I'm not gonna force myself, right? I got other things to do. So for me, when you're in the open world, it's a different game, and not in a good way. They really focus on stealth. They focus on like security systems a lot in the open world, and You feel it in the missions too, where like there's repair drones that are repairs, and they're very annoying, always. But when you get into the open world, you realize, oh, there's like dozens and dozens of enemies. They can swarm you extremely quickly. They always get repaired. There's cameras literally everywhere. You can't take 10 steps without seeing a camera. And if they see you, then they send an alert to nearby bots to attack you. And then when you destroy them, repair drones come to fix them. And then because you're destroying them, more of them will come because you're raising your alert level. So in my opinion, it really falls apart completely when you go into the open world. I think Skill Up had said in his review, what he ended up doing is just running from point A to point B. When you got to the open world, he wouldn't even, attempt to do anything. He would just get to the next objective. That is kind of what I did. Again, to me, it's not worth it. I'm not going to force myself to play something or do a section that you don't have to do, right? And that I'm not really feeling. And the final part, which actually goes back to what I just said, I do somewhat enjoy the main missions when you are kind of contained, which is odd, right? When you're contained is actually the better part of the game. So there's almost a want where it's like, okay, I could fight like 50 of these things. I could be annoyed from these repair drones and the cameras and all that stuff. Or I can just go to the next location. It'll probably be somewhat cool. It'll have interesting puzzles, which this game does do. It has a lot of different puzzles in it. I'll just go there. I'll just do the story. So is that a testament to the story? Maybe, but I think it's actually more of a, indicator that the open world's just not great. And overall, it just is what it is. This is a game that I think, for Game Pass, you play it for a couple days, you're done with it, you move on with your life. This is not a game I think that's ever gonna like stick around, which does suck maybe. I mean, I kind of set my expectations that I thought this game was going to be like a pretty good game. I didn't think this was going to be an elite game or anything, but I thought it would be like well above average, and I definitely can't say that. So it's probably below what I expected of it, but at the same time, it's a game. It's different, right? It's coming off of Hogwarts Legacy, so it's a different kind of feel to it, right? Jumping from Hogwarts to this, it's like, all right, I'll spend a couple days in your world, and then I'll leave, and I'll probably never think of you again until the end of the year when I make wrap-up videos and rank games. Then I'll think of you, but yeah, and that's okay. For a free game, for a game that's on Game Pass, I think the way I'm thinking about it, my mentality, I'm okay with it. The thing is, would you pay, whether it's 60, 70 bucks, whatever, is it worth that? That one's a lot harder, right? I never try to tell people what to do with their money. Everybody's in different financial situations, but I think there's other games that you could get, and there's certainly going to be other games that come out in the next, 2, 3, 4 months. Resident Evil, Star Wars, Suicide Squad, Diablo. I mean, you can just go down the list. So I don't know. I don't know about this game if you have to buy it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.